everyone, and welcome back to another video brought to you by the Freedom Eagle, political news and commentary with a conservative lean. If you've noticed in my videos that with each video it seems like my voice gets a little louder, that's just because I get a little bit angrier with every passing video because things are just getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Crazier executive in chief in the White House. Every day is another little black book. Every day is a new pen. Every day is some new nonsense we're going to sign. I think he signed almost 40 executive orders in a week. I don't know if he's trying to make the Executive Hall of Fame or what, but I digress. That's another video, and believe me, it will be another video. But for today, I'd like to briefly talk about Senator Rand Paul laying the smackdown on hypocritical Democrats as it relates to impeachable offenses, double standards, this for me, not for thee. You know, the typical nonsense that conservatives have had to deal with now for decades. With a lot of common folks, citizen journalists, and citizen commentators, you know, your favorite conservatives on YouTube, insert name here, they've all been saying this, talking about this issue, almost in the exact same way that Rand Paul put it for quite a while. It just feels good. Not in a special feeling CNN type of way, and by the way, that will be later in this video. We'll discuss all that nonsense, but it feels good in terms of calling out the mess and calling balls and strikes on hypocrisy. Rand Paul's comments, which I will play momentarily, come just a couple of weeks before the impeachment trial of Donald Trump in the Senate, and my response to that is, who cares? Who in the world cares? I don't give a crap. This is all low-class theater. Everyone knows it. If you got the Democrats behind closed doors, they might admit it to your face. Well, maybe not, but you know what I'm saying. Trump is all they know, and they're going to ride that horse one more time, while mumble-mouth President Biden signs, another executive order. And like I said, that video is coming soon. Joe Biden, by the way, will provide a lot of people with a lot of content here on YouTube over the next few months alone. Just incredible content just for the next 50 days. Between the gaffes, the verbal stammering, signing those orders, where he doesn't even know what he's signing, by the way, half the time, to probably my personal favorite here early in the game. This is the early in the first quarter of the Biden presidency. His interactions with Peter Doocy of Fox News. Biden likes to be a wise guy and address Doocy in a dramatic and stupid way. Doocy will ask a question and Biden will respond, well, he's a real pain in the neck, but I liked him anyway, whatever. That's because Doocy likes to ask, the real questions. In Biden's world, and seemingly the world of his administration, any question that's tougher than, what's your favorite color, will trigger a form of anger from Grandpa Joe. At any rate, back to the topic, Rand Paul. He's calling them all out, all while saying that these folks should not be placed in the impeachment circus, although they essentially did more things much worse than what our former president is currently being accused of doing himself. He's calling them all out, but he's also giving them, guess what, brace yourselves, grace, which these very same people would never give conservatives, and they sure as heck would never give Donald Trump. So, without further delay, here's Rand Paul on the morning of January 26th, 2021.
Democrats claim to want to unify the country, but impeaching a former president, a private citizen, is the antithesis of unity. Democrats brazenly appointing a pro-impeachment Democrat to preside over the trial is not fair or impartial and hardly encourages any kind of unity in our country. No, unity is the opposite of this travesty we are about to witness. If we are about to try to impeach a president, where is the Chief Justice? If the accused is no longer president, where is the constitutional power to impeach him? Private citizens don't get impeached. Impeachment is for removal from office, and the accused here has already left office. Hyper-partisan Democrats are about to drag our great country down into the gutter of rancor and vitriol, the likes of which has never been seen in our nation's history. Instead of doing the nation's work with their new majorities in the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, Democrats are wasting the nation's time on a partisan vendetta against a man no longer in office. It's almost as if they have no ability to exist except in opposition to Donald Trump. Without him as their boogeyman, they might have to legislate and to actually convince Americans that their policy prescriptions are the right ones. Democrats are about to do something no self-respecting senator has ever stooped to. Democrats are insisting the election is actually not over, and so they insist on regurgitating the bitterness of the election. This acrimony they are about to unleash has never before been tried. Why? Because calmer heads have typically prevailed in our history and allowed public opinion to cast blame where blame is deserved. This sham of an impeachment will ostensibly ask whether the president incited the reprehensible behavior and violence of January 6th, when he said, "I know everyone here will soon march to the Capitol to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard." Peacefully and patriotically, hardly words of violence. But what of Democrat words? What of Democrat incitement to violence? No Democrat will honestly ask whether Bernie Sanders incited the shooter that nearly killed Steve Scalise and volunteer coach. The shooter nearly pulled off a massacre. I was there because he fervently believed the false and inflammatory rhetoric spewed by Bernie and other Democrats, such as the Republican health care plan for the uninsured is that you die. As this avowed Bernie supporter shot Steve Scalise, nearly killing him, and shot one of our coaches and 2 or 3 of our staff, he screamed, "This is for health care." Ask me or anyone if that's incitement. No Democrat will ask whether Cory Booker incited violence when he called for his supporters to get up in their face of Congress people, a very visual and specific incitement. No Democrat will ask whether Maxine Waters incited violence when she literally told her supporters, and I quote, that if you see a member of the Trump administration at a restaurant, at a department store, at a gas station, or any place, you create a crowd and you push back on them. Is that not incitement? My wife and I were pushed and surrounded and screamed at by this same type of mob that Maxine likes to inspire. It's terrifying to have a swarm of people threatening to kill you, cursing at you, and literally holding you hostage until police come to your rescue. That night we were assaulted by the crowd. I wasn't sure if we'd survive even with the police protection. But no Democrat has ever considered impeaching Maxine for her violent rhetoric. In fact, Republicans, to our credit, have never once thought it legitimate to formally censor or impeach these Democrats. No Republican has sought to use the government to hold these Democrats responsible for Antifa and Black Lives Matter violence that has consumed our cities all summer, resulting in over $1 billion of destruction, looting, and property damage. Not one Republican said, "Oh, let's impeach the Democrats who are inciting this," because it would be ridiculous. Many on the Democrat side of the aisle cheered them on. Kamala Harris famously offered to pay the bill for those who are arrested. I wonder if she'll be brought up on charges of inciting violence for that now that she's vice president. Should Kamala Harris be impeached for offering to pay for violent people to get out of jail who've been burning our cities down? No. And no Republican has offered that, because we're not going down the road that Democrats have decided, this low road of impeaching people for political speech. Should Republicans impeach the Democrat mayor of Seattle, who incited and condoned violence by calling the armed takeover of part of her city a summer of love? Any Republicans try to impeach her? On June 8th, the New York Post, citing U.S. Justice Department statistics, reported that more than 700 law enforcement officers were injured during the Antifa Black Lives Matter riots. There were at least 19 murders, including 77-year-old retired police officer David Dorn. Yet Democrats insist on applying a test of incitement to a Republican that they refuse to apply to themselves. I want the Democrats to raise their hands if they have ever given a speech that says, take back, fight for your country? Who hasn't used the words fight figuratively? And are we going to put every politician in jail? Are we going to impeach every politician who has used the words fight figuratively in a speech? Shame. Shame on these angry, unhinged partisans who are putting forth this sham impeachment, deranged by their hatred of the former president.
And there you have it. In truth, there could be an entire YouTube channel just dedicated to this mess alone. Rand Paul nailed it, and he nailed them. Is anyone else in the mood to take a trip down memory lane? I certainly am, but at the same time, I'm just sick and tired of re-ranking clips and giving these goobers attention. You know, like the goobers that Paul was mentioning. It's just that simple. But, why not? Let's talk about it briefly without the clips. If you want the clips, they're in prior videos on my channel because these doofuses keep popping up, and I'm sure they'll just keep popping up for several more years. Maxine Waters and that silly state representative from Michigan who told folks to soldier up and make Trump supporters pay. Just look her up. Cynthia Johnson, look her up. I posted the clip of her rant in a prior video, as I mentioned, but that's the last bit of attention that she will get on this channel. I could rant about this all day and all night, but Republicans, conservatives, and non-far left crazy Democrats, on this subject, we all need to rally together to put an end to this mess. It's time for us to control the narrative and take back the country. The days of far leftists picking the winners and losers needs to be over for the better good of our nation. And it's in the media too. This is not breaking news, right? Heck, it's been in the media now for decades. But in terms of hypocrisy and hilarity, it really doesn't get much better than this, the clip I'm about to play. If one clip could sum up the state of almost everything, this would be it. No context is really needed here, just silliness and maxed out hyperbole injected straight into the veins of America. Let's play the nonsense.
And the contrast on display tonight was so stark. I mean, those lights that are just shooting out from the Lincoln Memorial along the reflecting pool, it's like almost extensions of Joe Biden's arms embracing America. It was a moment where the new president came to town and sort of convened the country in this moment of remembrance, outstretching his arms. And contrast that with that video you just saw of a disgraced president on his way out at his lowest point in his presidency at the very end here by himself, fighting for his political movement to live on, and not even necessarily promising that he's going to be leading that movement.
Get a room, buddy. Get a room. Get a therapist. Put a poster of Joe Biden on your wall. Just let it all go. Do whatever you need to do to get those tingles out. It's like an ASMR video. Get those tingles out. Of course, the latter portion of his comments are in reference to former President Donald Trump. This ceremony took place the night prior to Inauguration Day, so the sentiment here is that Joe Biden is the light of the world, almost like Jesus Christ himself. And Donald Trump, well, he'll be leaving the next day, and he'll be doing so as a disgraced loser, the equivalent of gum on your shoe. So we all just have the tingles and a strong disdain for Trump all rolled up in about 60 seconds, a nice 60-second ball. It's cute. It's very cute. And this is the media. This is the media. And before we wrap up this video, let's just take a look at the obvious. If in that clip, if that had been former President Trump and his wife just standing out casually looking at the water, just taking it all in, just like the Bidens were with Kamala Harris, this same goober would have probably ranted about the whole thing being staged, a photo op, an embarrassment, a waste of time, waste of oxygen, something to do with a dictatorship, of course, a trick on the American people, and those same lights, the lights that are Joe Biden's arms grabbing us in a warm embrace. If Trump had been there, those same lights and that same guy would have told us that the lights represented Satan and that hell is Trump himself. It's funny how politics works now more than ever. All you need is a D next to your name and life is great. You are the judge and the jury for everyone else. And the media will not only make your case, heck, they'll cheer you on like a proud mom in the stands. The last clip, and all you have to do is keep the image. It changed the people, and it would go from warm to just sheer terror. And then one more thing, before I wrap this up, one more thing, since we're talking about the Trumps and the former First Lady Melania Trump, If Melania Trump rolled out of bed tomorrow and said she was a Democrat, she'd be crowned queen of the nation on every magazine in the country, a non-white female, the new feminist hero that can speak multiple languages. Heck, she already checks all of the boxes that they require, but because she's not a Democrat, they hate her guts, and of course they would and still do make fun of her at every turn. Can you just feel the unity and healing in the air? Okay, my rant is over. Good job, Rand Paul. Thanks for pointing out what many of us have been making note of for years. And now this rant is now in your hands. What are your thoughts on Senator Rand Paul's comments? Leftist hypocrisy? Heck, let me know what you think about Mr. Tinglepants over at CNN. It doesn't get sillier or more cringe than that. Let me know what you're thinking. Healthy debate is always and will always be welcome on this channel. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, and there will be a next time, we will talk to you later. Take care.